He's hitting Joe out there, leaving me alone. But most generally, if I'm within 4 or 5 seats back, I'm getting it. Pretty hard. God's good. All the time. You know, I called Ronnie and asked him if I could speak a couple weeks ago or a week ago or something.
That's rare.
And
Turn it back on.
And it's on.
He's all right.
Well, speak into it now.
Speak into it then.
And I had something that I really thought I had to get out there, and God changed all that last night. Irregardless, we want to hear from God, and I do a lot, quite often. I love God with all my heart, and if I'll just keep my eyes and ears open, I'll hear from Him every day, all day long. A lot of times it's Donnie. Call me straight.
Donnie,
Yeah, I don't care how it comes. It comes from God. I'll listen to it. Irregardless, He changed everything. I was praying last night, and I said, Lord, you know, I know what I think I'll be speaking on, but I want to speak on what you have me speak on. And He just put it in my heart that there's some things going around inside my heart that don't even need to be there. Sister Jennifer said it so well when she said, if you'll just let those things, little bitty things build up, before long it becomes big things. And I have that problem. And so that's kind of what I'm going to speak on just a little bit. I'll keep you long. But Matthew, the chapter 7, it says, judge not. I better sometimes I paraphrase according to Brother Mark. I know what it means and I know what it says, but getting what it means and says in line together. Judge not that ye be not judged. For with the judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measures ye might, it shall be measured to you again. I have a problem with a lot of times with when people say things they don't really mean. And it happens quite often. And I know I do it too. I know I do. A lot of times it's, I don't realize it till later. I used to call Brother Pat all the time. I'd say, you know, I didn't mean that the way that sounded. And almost every time he'd say, well, I never even thought about that. So most of the time I was telling myself about something. I do my mom the same way. Mom's good about it. I think that's, you know, with God's help, through my mother, that's where I got a lot of it, because we'll talk for a little bit and she'll call me back. Yeah, I didn't want you to think the wrong thing. And so I know that people, including myself, according to what state you are in the flesh, how your life's going, how you feel it should be going, if it isn't, and you're irritable and you'll say things that you really don't mean. For example, I had a guy at Bigfoot, and I've been taking my wife to work some early in the morning, and I'm just not an early person. And so I'm getting up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning and taking her to work. We always stop at Bigfoot and get a pop, something to chew on while we're going. And this poor guy, he just didn't know what his job was. He just couldn't do it. And you know me, I'm always late, so I'm on the run, buddy, and he'd come on, hurry up, you know, and he just, I've seen him not sell stuff because he couldn't figure it out. He'd just say, I'm sorry, you'll have to come back. and I'm thinking, they haven't trained this guy right or something. Or, you know. Well, I was talking to someone this weekend that works there. I'd been there for quite some time and stuff, and we began to talking about that guy a little bit. And I found out that he wasn't all there. And I thought, well, you shouldn't put him in that position. Anyway, you know, if he ain't all there and he can't comprehend it, he can't learn it, then what you got him there for? And then I seen his wife and children. And we all know the economy's bad. and you got to get a job where you can get one, and you got to do what you got to do to support your family. And God just beat me in the head real hard. All he's doing, I don't care what his state of mind is, or how he is, or what he was taught, or whatever. He's still trying to take care of his family. And so automatically, I think next week him and I'll have a different. We'll get along a lot better than we did before, I'm sure. You know, we don't have the right to judge what others are going through, or why they do what they do, or what we would do if we was in their shape, or in their position. And most of the time, we don't even know what their position is. But there was a time, I try not to do this a lot anymore, but there was a time where I wanted, you know, I don't understand why you're doing that. I don't understand why you're acting the way you're acting. I wouldn't do that. And before long, I found myself getting into the position that they was in. And I'm going through some of that now. And I found out that I got to do some things that's real strange to survive, because that's what I think I got to do. And when I was watching them do it, I thought, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Why would you do that? And so I wrote down here, you have no right, none, to hold any grudges. You know, God says in the Bible, pray for those that do you wrong. Pray for those that persecute you. And I'll hit coals of fire upon their head. I took that 2 or 3 different ways. Mainly, I thought God was going to dump it on you if I prayed. You know, if you wasn't treating me right and I prayed, God was going to dump it on you and kill them, Lord. But I've seen some things, I don't know why, but when I was locked up, I seen some things. And I prayed and prayed and prayed, and I seen some things changing in people's life. And I seen them going to the hole, you know, getting in trouble, doing things, and it scared me. And I said, oh God, what have I done? What have I done? I'm sure that it wasn't that way. I'm sure they just got in trouble and went to the hole at a particular time. But it scared me. God got my attention. I said, oh Lord, I don't want anybody to have, you know, that to happen to anybody on my account. Oh no. You know, what happens is those things that's in our heart, we don't think, if we'll keep our mouth shut, we don't think other people know that. But there's an all-seeing eye, an all-hearing,
Yes, there is.
all-knowing, and God knows, and it doesn't make any difference. I love my pastor, and I wouldn't want to do anything to make him look bad, put a black eye on my church or my pastor or anything. And so sometimes I do things just so I won't. We do that when we love someone and respect someone. We do things, we'll go around to do things that really, otherwise I just go on. Who cares, you know? But I do find myself doing things. We need to register that in our head, that God's seeing every single thing. He knows every single thing we do, where we're at, what we're doing, how we're dealing with it, how we're showing ourselves to others. And I'm learning to keep that in mind. Like I said, I wouldn't want to do anything to disrespect Brother Pat, but I have caught myself doing things. And then later I'd say, you know, Brother Pat, I didn't mean for that to kind of come out that way. And I was doing this and that. And he'd say, well, I didn't even know you was doing that. And, or you done that or any of that. And I said, well, you don't. Yeah, stop it. You don't. But somebody somewhere else
God
did.
does, amen.
And they know where I go to church, and they know whose ministry I sit under. And so for some time, I worried and worried. And I still have that respect, and I still try to not do that kind of. But the bottom line is, we need to worry about what we're dealing with God, not what we're dealing with others.
That's right.
It's nice to show that respect and stuff, but God knows and sees every single thing. Brother Pat had touched some on the perfection, and for a long time, Thursday night, and for a long time, I remember when there was, I know Ronnie's not going to believe this, but I felt perfect. Never in the flesh, mind you, but in the spirit. I felt like that. Brother Pat says sometimes that when God spoke to him about mercy, that he could have had anything he wanted. There was a period in my salvation where I felt that way. for 4 or 5 months. I was so close to God. I had read a book by Kenneth Copeland that said, it was called Walking in the Ream of God. I got in that ream and it was so wonderful. It just seemed like everything I'd done, it was just in place, and everything I asked God, He just gave it to me. And I used, there was a love in my heart at that time that I couldn't find anybody in the world that I didn't love. I don't care what they'd done or what they was doing. I found a way for them. When I came here and started sitting around here, Brother Pat began to pick on Sister Valerie about that. You know, you rob a bank, run down there. Valerie will say, well, let's figure out what we want to do. And there was a time when, you know, and it isn't that perfection right now, but it's still there. God didn't go anywhere. I'm the one that wall around and you know, I'm bouncing in and out. But there was a time, and I used to say, well, when I was locked up, I only had to deal with that. I didn't have to deal with society out here. I didn't have to deal with all that stuff. But the truth of the matter is, God ain't went anywhere. He ain't changed nothing. He's the same all the time. And it's me that's doing the wobbling around. And I'll bounce into that area sometimes where I feel like it doesn't make any difference what I do or what I'm dealing with. God's right there, and He makes it all perfect for me. And it's love. It's the love in my heart. Because that covers all the other stuff that I messed up. And I find that. So I know if we find that place where we think someone said the wrong thing to us, and we just can't seem to get over it, and I'm dealing with that some right now, and I just can't, then I'm in trouble because I've got something in my heart. I'm working on getting it out. God's digging around in there, trying to clean it up a little bit, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. But confession, yeah, that's right. It's good for the soul, and I'm finding that right now.
We overcome.
But I can't. God just cannot forgive me if I don't forgive others.
Amen.
And so we tie His hands when we start getting something in our heart that shouldn't be there, grumbling and griping because somebody said something, or somebody done something. And so I want everyone to know that no matter what you've done to me, I want everybody to know no matter what I've done or how I've acted, that I'm sorry, and I love each and every one of you with the bottom of my heart. And I like to keep a clean heart. I don't have lots and lots of things going for me. I have a lot of fun serving God. But I do love everybody, and I do have. God has put a spirit of love and mercy in my heart. And if you make me really, really mad and really do me wrong, within 10 or 15 minutes, I'm usually over it. And,
Never showed me that.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
From the 8 corner.
I said, you better be here this morning, brother. Oh, I got a real message for you, and then God changed it all around. I know God maybe knew like that we've done it. So He changed it. But if you want a perfect walk with God, base everything, your prayers and your studying and everything, base that upon cleaning your heart up and having love for every person that you come across. Because God recognizes that, and He'll get down off of the throne and step over and do things for you that you can't. People will say, that ain't of God. But it is. When you got that perfect love in your heart and you're walking in the realm of God, you'll feel that power and you'll feel that. And if you don't abuse that and you use that all just for love, God will change lives. He'll change. He'll move mountains. And He does it all. And I think that I love God with all my heart. There's not a doubt in my mind about that. And I appreciate every one of my church family. And that's all.
All right.
That's good.